Bud, I don't think this is a good idea.
Shut up, man.
Look, you're not even... Okay, you said you were going to drop in. This is not a thing you can drop in on.
This is a drop in.
It's a ramp.
It's a sick drop in. It's like the pros do.
No.
Shut up, Tony 20. I believe in the heart of the deck.
You are not...
Like Tony Hawk's 14th cousin.
Everyone is Tony Hawk's 14th cousins.
Okay, I'm just going to go for it. Tony 20.
No, this
Tony
is...
20.
Bud, you good?
Shut up, I don't need your help.
No, I think...
Tony 20.
If you want, I can... Okay, I can call your mom, and she can come pick you up.
Tony 20.
I don't think this is a good... Oh, God.
Tony 20. Hey everyone, welcome back to Tony 20, and welcome to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I'm Insetic, and with me on this first video is just Blank Tester.
Hey kids, how's it going?
So Tony Hawk 2 was released in 2000, a year after Tony Hawk 1, for the same main consoles, PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, and the PC, surprisingly. But again, I will be playing the PlayStation 1 version, emulated, for this. So Tony Hawk 2 really built upon the foundation set up in Tony Hawk 1. You know, Tony Hawk 1 was sort of, let's get this started. Tony Hawk 2 was, let's really develop this. You can see that the skaters, the crew from the first game returns, plus some new faces, you know, some other popular names from the time like Eric Costin, and some skateboarding legends like Steve Caballero and Rodney Mullen. And now we have 10 stats, and this game also sort of introduced the style of where you'll be earning money throughout the game to buy yourself more stat points and get yourself as 10 out of 10 in everything. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not picking a character because they have the best balance of all characters.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe at the start you might.
Yeah, you're picking them for their initial balance of stats, but then later on it's not going to matter.
Yes, and also each character has 3 unique special tricks. In fact, they really added a whole ton of extra tricks to this game, and the main thing that they added are manuals. So now you have a way to string these trick chains together as long as you don't go up a quarter pipe, don't get invert. They don't have something to do where you can continue on a vert at the moment. That will be introduced next game, the revert. But yeah, so now manuals will make it easier than ever to get a ton of points. And as you might have seen in the goal list for this first level, Hangar, which by the way, now each level has 10 goals instead of just 5 from the previous game. The 6 score, the third highest score you have to get, is higher than the highest score you had to get at the end of the first game. Yeah.
I mean, it really feels like they took everything that worked in Tony Hawk 1 and they went, let's just take this whole thing and kick it up to 11.
Yeah.
Which is exactly the right mindset to have when making making an arcadey sort of game like this. You know?
Right.
Like, I say arcadey in the sense that it's like, there's a score and there's, it's not story-driven or, If you were doing this, I'm not sure kicking it to 11 would be good for something like Call of Duty, but it's definitely good for a game like Tony Hawk.
Call of Duty kind of did that. I mean, like...
That's true.
They started getting into, present day and then into the future and into space, but that's a different series. So, just... In this game, I'll be playing as Alyssa Steamer for the whole playthrough, just because I did not get to play as her in my first game. But yeah, so Tony Hawk 2 is regarded by most people as the best Tony Hawk game. When you pull them, they either say one of the Underground games, like literally Tony Hawk's Underground or Tony Hawk Underground 2, that's going to be where the most things are added and most refined. Or they're going to say Tony Hawk 2 here, where you might not have everything that you'll have in the sequels that come out in a few years, but what they do have just plays so perfectly.
Yeah.
There's really not any jank. But yeah, it's also most levels have kind of like a secret area to discover, and also note that we're picking up cash. That's right, kind of taking those additional point elements that were just sort of scattered about in the first game and replacing them with cash, which, as you saw, will help you buy stat points or different moves or board decks. That's something that I'll be showing off after this level as well, that you can customize your character's moveset, buy them different moves, buy them different special tricks. And so kind of once you have all the cash, once you've done everything on a character, you can basically give them whatever move setup and special trick setup you want.
Right.
But yeah.
Man, you know, I'm noticing something about the Tony Hawk games, and like it's actually I don't know. This isn't really news, but it was kind of news to me in a way, and that's, man, the fact that the camera works as well as it does in this game, and in the other Tony Hawk games as well. You know, like they had to follow a very dynamic, your character's very dynamic in this world, and the angles that you're able to do, and also the level design, is not hampered by a bad camera that is incapable of keeping up with it, and that, right, I think is really one of the strong points of not just Tony Hawk games, but good extreme sports games. The camera is able to keep up with the action and keep the player aware of what's going on, right, in the action.
It mostly follows you, but then you go up a quarter pipe and the camera knows
whips around to the other, but not too fast, not too slow. Right. So you know what you're doing. Because, like, they could have just kept the camera low and parallel to the ground, or when you're grinding and leaning left and right, the camera tilts with you. Those are all options that they had. They could have changed that, and they didn't. And I'm really glad they went the way they did.
I personally enjoy this kind of camera a lot more than sort of the angle that was settled on from the Skate series and newer skateboarding games like Session and Skater XL.
Where it's kind of over the shoulder or lower.
Which is that kind of, they're trying to recreate skateboarding videos that are recorded fisheye and recorded kind of at the angle so that the board is, you know, the important part, but people's eyes are not at their knees.
Right.
You know?
And part of it, it's actually interesting, you know, since Tony Hawk is kind of setting the standard when they were making these games, it's honestly kind of surprising they didn't go that route, because they are pulling from the world of skateboarding where there is already a history of skate videos.
Right.
You know, like, skate videos were already a thing, so they could have tried to emulate that in the camera work of this game, and they decided not to. And I'm really glad they decided not to.
Right. I think the technology was probably not there at the time. I mean, imagine a PlayStation 1 game doing that.
But I mean, like, just following the camera, following the player a little closer to the board is something they could have done, and you know, that would have become the standard that we would have, you know, gotten used to. But I think this works really, really well, in a way that you know, the Skate series, the reason the Skate series works as well as it does at all is because they also have advanced physics systems to work with, and, you know, high definition graphics and things like that.
Right. So I showed off then what you could spend your money on, and like the skate shop at the bottom, I genuinely as a kid do not remember using that like at all, but that is where you would buy new boards. And you can buy them in any order. It's not like in Tony Hawk 1 where you unlock them in a certain order. You could buy them in any order, but each new board you buy, just like each new stat point you put in, will cost more money than the previous one did. And also, they're based on your character's sponsor. So Elissa Steamer, in real life, was sponsored by the brand Toy Machine. So her decks are a lineup of decks that Toy Machine offered. But yeah, that was the hangar. Just like Tony Hawk 1, just like with the warehouse, it starts you off in a fairly simple, just great size introductory level. We'll have more to say on that, but Tony Hawk 2 really knew what size its levels should be and didn't give you anything that was too big or too small.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see that going forward, and make sure to join me next time when we go to School 2.